I am Holly McDonald, the president of the North Coast section of California Music Educator Association, and then we're here on a Zoom meeting to do a little technique sharing. So I'm going to go through a couple little things with violin and viola, and I'll go through a couple little things with ukulele, and then then we have some time for discussion probably. So or questions. Let's start with violin and viola, because I think it's sort of the trickier one, the more sensitive one. I don't have a viola right next to me, but with beginning students, it's pretty much the same, especially if you can find those 13 and 14-inch violas. I have a couple of 12-inch violas even. I think I have a quarter, it's 14 is full size, 13 is three-quarter size, and 12 is half size. So that's fun. And the C strings are really, really wobbly on the little ones. It's really fun. So I like to teach my beginning, especially violin students, standing up. I don't know if I can get a little standing. So when we stand, I like to have them learning rest position right away. And to do that, I show them holding the violin on the top on the left side, on that same side that they'll be putting it up on their shoulder. I call this the forever hand, because really for weeks and weeks, we're just putting our hand right there and we're doing everything with our hand just stuck to the violin forever, until we're in rest position, and then we can use it to say hello to people. So if we're standing up, then we're in rest position. One thing that I make sure to say is, I have my hand kind of like that L, that big fat L shape, and I get it under the neck, because how many times have kids grabbed it from on top? So I would say under the neck, and I show them really slowly that I have my big fat L under the neck, and then I slide it to the violin body, and then I can just grasp the instrument. And this is like a little baby grasp. And off students will want to put their thumb like up with I really like the support of the thumb behind and those fingers up front. And then I say, okay, we're holding it in front of you. We go upside down, and then you find the tallest part of your shoulder. I'm lifting up my chin so that people understand I really want it to get in there, in that little nook. And then I'm going to turn and take a big bite of the shoulder rest, or the chin rest, and then I'll be looking right down that neck. Notice I really am sort of making a T shape with my hands coming out, with my body coming out like that, or the top of an F, capital F or whatever. And it really is going off sideways. I really want to discourage students. Sometimes they'll get everything great, and then it's right up there, and it's like the necktie. So I'll call it a necktie, like that's not a good thing. And then I'll say, really get that up on your shoulder, and they just turn it, right? But it's really a matter of lifting it up and placing it up there on the shoulder. And students will be like, whoa, and I'll say, well, let's think about what we're feeling. Is what we're feeling new, and so we're not used to it, or is what we're feeling uncomfortable and could lead to some pain? So when students sort of resist, be like, let's really think about what we're feeling in our body. Is it just that it's new and we're not used to it, or is it really some pain? And there are kids that'll get way up there and all the way, and I think that's just fine. I'd way rather have it too high up on the shoulder, kind of looking behind you. You want to make sure students are relaxed, and you can be relaxed even if you're doing that, because all the weight is, you're just leaning the weight into the instrument. Okay, I'm talking a lot about forever hand stuff. That's okay. So I have my forever hand upside down, high on my shoulder, and I can do that for a long time. And I can do plucking, I can bow open strings like that, and practice rest position and going back up. I always like doing all three steps of in front of you, upside down, place it on the top. The next step, then step two, while they have their forever hand here, is just to open up their forever hand. Is my violin still up there? you know, yeah, it's still up there. If I open up my forever hand and I'm catching, then I know that I'm not really secure up there at my chin and shoulder. And I do not teach violin without a shoulder rest. Kids will say, but my teacher, and I say, nope. When you're, you know, when you've played for 5 years, you can decide if you want a shoulder rest or not. But beginners, I always have them use shoulder rest. Everrests, that's what I use, and I'm like semi-professional, and they're like $15 or $20. So they're not horribly expensive. So once I have that forever hand there, I can just open it up, I'm balanced, and then I can, and what I'm using is this top of the bone of my hand, open up that forever hand, and I can slide along the neck without my thumb touching at all yet. I'm still in that big fat open L. Then I can say, well, I'm on that correct ledge of my hand, boop, and I can just touch my thumb. And then I have that little bunny hole right there, ready to put like my finger. I can check right there with my finger, make sure that's really there. And this also, with the forever hand, your wrist is really pretty straight. I think that's another thing to make sure when you're first teaching forever hand, to make sure that the wrist is straight, because then when you do this, and all I'm doing now is opening my elbow. So make sure that it's just an elbow motion, not a wrist motion that I'm doing. An elbow motion slides back, and there's my straight wrist position. And I think that is the hardest thing to get a student to do the right shape of. So that's all I'm going to talk about. So that's what I wanted to do with violin, is just get that from rest position to up on your shoulder with that forever hand. And then how are we going to get our forever hand there? We just slide it back, and then I touch my thumb there. So this little nook right there, you know, like where a flute would sit. So that's what I'm using to slide back on the neck. Is there anything else?
That's super helpful, Holly. Thank you. Especially that taking it from the shoulder and then that slide out. That's super duper. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And let me do a sitting down really quick. If we're sitting down, and this is why I like standing up, because we don't get the slouchers and we don't get the lean backers. And in 4th grade, I teach a just violin class. So the 4th graders, they just stand the whole year. And I tell them, oh yeah, when you're 5th graders, we bring the chairs out. And we perform standing up when we're doing just violin, like fiddle stuff. When they go into the orchestra, they'll sit down, the string orchestra. But so the 5th graders, when they're sitting down, then we're away from rest position. And now we have knee position, which is I'm just resting that on the knee, but I'm still using my forever hand to do it. So, and then that bow, of course, little trick with the bow, always pointed at the sky, and that, you know, one knee and other knee. And then I can have my bow hold ready on my knee there. Teacher says, instruments up, set the bow, I'm ready to go. So those are the little basics I wanted to talk about with violin and viola. Yes. Let's do a little fun ukulele thing now as we switch around. I will just admit I'm much less skilled on ukulele, but little by little getting more experience and practice. The thing that blew me away about ukulele was not just that it's tuned a little wacky, but that it is so, do, mi, la. And then my mind was blown. And then I said, yes, we're going to play ukulele in kindergarten and 1st grade. Because all they have to do, and I do the same big fat L under the neck there, and then they can pluck those strings. So when we do snail, 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 going round and round and round, it's a song that we sing every time we come into class. We can start learning it on ukulele. I do ukulele at the same time as I take out some of those Orff xylophones. I don't have a lot of the xylophones, so you know, a $50 ukulele is a nice thing to have on hand when I can't quite afford the $600 bass Orff xylophone, or the second bass Orff xylophone that I want. So Some kids, right away, you're like, next year is your time. But maybe at least give them let them fool around and they can at least safely hold it, and like that's such a big deal. It's just taking care of something and making sure a student doesn't think it's a toy just because it's toy-like, or because I've seen, because I have a pretend ukulele at home or whatever. So do mi la is great, and just all the songs that I do with my kindergarten first graders, not all of them, I do some do re mi songs, but a lot of them just have the so mi la, and then you have that do down there for a tonic. So you just play the song on the ukulele, and I often have a row of xylophone students, like 8 students, so 2 on a xylophone often, because there's the 2 octaves. It's so easy to just do 2, and then 5 kids playing ukulele, and then I might have like some shakers and some sticks if I realize that not everybody got an instrument. So and then we can even do a little rotation, and some kids just skip ukulele. They're like, nope, I don't know. That's okay. That's fine. And some kids love it. One thing I try to teach them is thumb on the top string and first finger pointer on those other strings. And I think after, they get once they're on the correct string, that's maybe when I'm going to show them the thumb is for this one and the pointer for the others. I'm sure there are other ways to do it. Maybe a thumb for the top 2 if the kid wants, and then a pointer for the bottom 2. I actually think it's more important that the student makes a decision and practices doing it that same way over and over, so that they understand what practicing will lead to, which is the muscle memory. And if they want to make a decision about it and choose something else, then they can make a decision and decide to get the other muscle memory working. So it's almost like, let's just not use thumb for every single note. I try to avoid the thumb for every single note. With strumming, it's, then maybe we get that C chord. Once they are doing this finger thing, maybe I can get them to just strum one little strum. And I think I've heard lots of things about strumming with your thumb and using a pick, and young students obviously are not going to be really gung-ho about using a pick. So just because it's another thing that gets in the way. I try to make sure that the shape of the strum is relaxed more than being micromanaging about what finger they're using to strum at the young level. I want it to come from the elbow, not the wrist. So I'm sort of working on, once we get into let's strum the C chord while everyone else is playing snail, then let's get that elbow you do in the strum. There was a great song, that Bob Marley song, the 3 Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. That one. It's tough to has a little reggae rhythm to it. So one. And it's a syncopated rhythm. It's an offbeat thing. And so it's kind of tricky to teach that. I think that it's a little bit swung also, but that if you just demo that part of it properly, I think that kind of comes naturally as students hear it. But the way you get a kid to do that right is with these rhythms that we all know, ta 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 ta, and then you change one, ta ta ti ti ta, and then you can change another one, rest ta ti ti ta, and then you have rest. I did it a little bit off, but I think we're getting the picture here. It eventually you can work it to rest tt, rest ta, and so if they practice the clapping or the strumming on every single line, then when they get to that final line, then they're syncopating in that reggae style. They're reggae jammed down. The 3 Little Birds song, is the C chord, the F chord, and the G chord. And the G is like the toughest chord. So once you get to those older students being able to do some chords, you can teach them those. But that is the one thing about ukulele, is that we come across the G chord real fast, because those are just the songs we're singing. So that's the tricky one to teach, I think. When teaching chords, I like to think, okay, well, there's our easy C chord. What do we have to do to get to the G chord? Well, I have to raise that up, and then I have to surround it with my other fingers on that other fret back there. So thinking about, excuse me, what does your finger have to do for that next chord? And then doing the slow practice, changing chords. I don't want to talk too much about that. I think we all know how to do slow practice. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to sing the song on Zoom because I don't want it to sound terrible, and I will spare you of that. But
I would love to hear you sing it, but no pressure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. There's a YouTube of me singing it, so I can put that in the chat actually. So that's what I wanted to show. Do you have any questions about anything that I talked about, or do you have any other comments or additional ideas you want to share?
No, that's all super helpful, Holly, especially what you're doing with the younger kids, because I've really reserved ukuleles for the older kids. And so I love the idea of using that, so la mi do. Like that's a great doorway to learning for the youngers. So I appreciate that.
Totally.
Yay. One thing that I have found helpful with ukulele that I can't take credit for because I found it on Pinterest was putting little colored dots on the fingerboard to show which chord is which.
Oh, wonderful.
That was a lifesaver because I have a class set of 28 ukuleles, and because I'm doing it in like 5th and 6th grade, those classes are bigger. So I sometimes have that full number. And so it's hard to get around to everybody to make sure their fingers are on the right place. So for the C chord, I can just say red dot.
That's awesome. I love the dots.
Green dots for the F chord. So, I just went through and I put little tiny dots on them, and that was a life-changing event.
I love how many ideas I'm getting from you. I actually started going and looking for nursery rhymes and trying to compile them. And then I made a couple videos of myself just saying the nursery rhyme. And I put the words on it, on the video, and I'm putting that on my website so that kids can do, little things.
Good. Oh yay! I'm glad.
So color dots on the ukulele is the next thing. Awesome.
Yeah, I loved that idea. It really changed everything.
Well, the Richard Lawton, who was the one of the past general music reps for CMEA, he's the one that clued me into the so do mi la and the reggae strum pattern. So
nice. Yeah, the whole reggae thing that's a whole new thing I haven't even tried. That'll be super fun.
And it's such a neat rhythm to just put in whatever kind of jam you want to do. So any sort of pentatonic jam.
Yeah, super cool.
So fun. Yeah. Cool.
Right.
Well, this was wonderful. I'm really glad I got to share. And there's my YouTube of me doing the 3 little birds. So that's
I'm excited.
Yeah, I think if you can click on it if you're on the meeting now here. Yeah, cool. So thank you.
Awesome. I'm just gonna copy that and save it so I can. Yay. Thank you so much, Holly. All of those tips were super duper helpful. Thank you.
Fabulous. Well, it's Friday and it's sunny out, so I might have to go look in my, hang out with my chickens for a little while.
That sounds like a good plan.
Totally. I've been working on websites and stuff too much, so let's get outside. It's Friday.
Me too. I know. I'm trying. I'm chugging away so I can maybe get out there before the sun goes down.
All right, Kadri, thank you.
Thank you so much, Holly. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.